So you wanna go to war with me? You're talking like you think you're royalty. You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break. I heard you question my stability. You think I'll fall just like a guillotine, but I am here to stay. Won't look away. The storm is coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control, feel it in my bones. I'm coming for the, coming for the. I'm coming for the throne. I'm coming for the throne. So you wanna be my enemy? You should've known I'd never kiss the rain. Ice runs in my veins, won't play it safe. I don't belong with your nobility. Who died and made you king of anything? You think that I'm insane, it's your mistake. Kingdoms rise and fall, I've come to take it all. I'll take it, I've come to take it. Kingdoms rise and fall, I've come to take it all. I'll take it all. The storm is coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control, feel it in my bones. I'm coming for the, coming for the. I'm coming for the throne. I'm coming for the throne.
Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, cause that's what it takes. I take shots to the top. faces is a form of art. I'm never gonna look back, cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change, slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, cause that's what it takes.
All right, guys, welcome. Happy Friday, October 4th. We made it. We made it through another week. Grab a drink, grab a smoke, come hang out. We're going to not do an all-nighter here, just hang out and go over a couple news items because I was busy today and didn't have time to finish any of the videos I've been working on all week. Got some of them in progress. You can probably expect a couple over the weekend. But just wanted to come chat with you guys, go over some of the top news. Let's get our buddy Mediocre Trader in here. The trust fund baby himself, Mediocre Trader. How you doing, amigo?
What's up, Paisan? How are you?
Are you recovered from the box office party earlier this week?
Yeah, that was a oh man. I did a little more than I wanted to.
Hey, it's not easy to celebrate drinking a whole bottle of champagne by yourself like that.
No, I know. Just want to let you know, Tony, the trust fund is doing rather well. Just
very good. Good to hear. I had to drink water pretty much the whole next day to feel human again. I still got up early in the morning, but man, just that foggy brain feeling. Anya, how you doing tonight? User 1, good evening. Who else we got here? Slave King. Good evening. AK, good evening. And we got a couple of topics I don't know if they're on the thumbnail, but I put them on Twitter that I want to go over tonight, Mediocre. B. Riley upgrades AMC's earnings, kind of like what I've been telling you guys what I thought would happen. How long have I been saying that, Mediocre? For like the last month?
Yeah.
So yep, we got Eric Wald over at B. Riley. We still got two other analysts that I'm waiting on, Alicia Reese and whatever that other dude is that hung up on me last quarter. I expect something from them next week. So we'll go through that. I ran across something on Twitter randomly right before we came on live, Mediocre. Someone complaining about YouTubers telling people to sell covered calls. I want to go over that with you guys. Well, you know, the wheel strategy, how we talk about it on this channel, because the fact that we talk about what we are doing is for some reason offensive to people. Remember, we're not ever giving you guys instructions, and I try and say this in every time we talk about the wheel. It's probably not appropriate for you. You probably will lose money. Do not listen to our discussion on options in the wheel if you don't know what you're doing.
Correct.
For most of you, it's not. For most of you, you shouldn't even listen to it. But what I do want to encourage you guys to do is start learning. Take the time to read, to explore other strategies. You don't have to use it in AMC. We use the wheel strategy, selling covered calls, selling cash secured puts on many different tickers every week. No one should ever hear what we're saying and think we're giving you instructions to do something on AMC. That is just like mind boggling to me, how people twist what we say because they don't want you to learn for some reason. I don't understand it. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about, what?
It's like they want them in the dark, not knowing anything, you know? Just
turtle.
I don't understand.
Turtle. Let's just turtle up and go in a dark room and not try and learn anything. Buy and hold MOAS is the only thing I want to know, and blah, blah, blah. That's fine with me. I don't care what you guys do. And you shouldn't care what other people do. This is a free country, a huge market. There's thousands of strategies being run on tens of thousands of stocks. And if you don't want to learn about any of that, then that's fine with me.
Stop pocket watching me, for God's sakes.
But the most important thing I want to talk about is why we're not selling covered calls on AMC right now, why we are doing it on other tickers. And I just want to encourage you guys to listen to what we talk about with an open mind. We're never, ever, ever giving you instructions on one particular stock. All we're doing is talking about what we are doing and why, and we're always happy to answer questions. Quit sitting in your little corner firing off missiles on social media like you understand what we're doing, and just come in here and ask. We're real people just like you. And I'm trying to get ahead, trying to beat the indexes.
Which we are, by the way.
I interrupted you. Go ahead. I'm going to.
No. You're doing good. No, I mean, I agree with you, Tony. I mean, why not come in here and talk to us? Like, I have no problem with anybody, really. I don't care. As long as, you're not coming at me with sideways bullshit, we can have a conversation. I'm good with it, it's simple. I trade a specific way, and I don't think it's anybody's business what I do with my money, where I put my money, and how I trade my money. Tommy over there, say, hey, Tommy, what are you doing? Like, you can't do that. No, I don't give a shit what Tommy does with his money. That's Tommy's problem. That's all I'm saying, right? So if you believe in the MOAS theory and MOAS, that's on you. You don't have to do anything that I do. But
Mediocre, do we ever make videos? Do we ever make videos telling people don't believe in the MOAS theory?
No, I don't care what people do.
We don't because we don't care what strategy you pick. I don't watch other people's strategies and criticize it. I will criticize bad DD, but whatever strategy you have, that's your strategy. I'm not going to criticize you. Why are you going to worry about what strategy I'm doing? Doesn't matter to me which strategy you pick, but I think it's good to be exposed to different ideas because you could apply them on any stock. There's tens of thousands of stocks, and everybody that's in our Discord knows typically if we're wheeling a particular stock that week, we will talk about it, or we'll talk about it here on the live streams. We're going to talk about Q4 box office, and maybe if we have time, we'll talk about some GME valuation. I refined my GameStop model for predictions all the way through the end of this year because guess what, Mediocre? There's people making up numbers about GameStop's earnings for the end of this year. Wild numbers, Mediocre, which I think are going to be wildly incorrect. And I'm going to present my math, my spreadsheet of exactly what I think is going to happen with GameStop and why you need to be really careful about people that you're listening to on any ticker who aren't backing up things. Now, if they just say, this is my opinion, and you like that, that's fine. That's fine with me, as long as they say, this is my opinion. But if they're saying, this is my opinion, and this is the best investment ever, and they don't provide any evidence for that, well, I'm probably going to call that out as bad DD. It's
Yeah, absolutely.
bad financial advice. Go ahead.
Oh, I said, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's YouTubers out there that are. I don't even think they say it's their opinion. I just think they say whatever.
They say, I promise you. I promise you.
Yeah, they
And
say, I
no one ever
promise you
holds them
that.
accountable for promises not kept.
Well, that happens quite a bit, Tony. I see that shit every day.
All right. So in AK, we will talk about some other tickers. If you stick around, I kind of want to get through these first few items on the list here. And then, towards the end, we open it up to other tickers that you guys want us to look at. We could do a quick DD on it. All I ask is, if you're throwing other tickers out there, ideally, we'd like it to be a company that is profitable. Ideally, we'd like it to not be a penny stock. Ideally, we'd like it to be a company that isn't in a 3-year downward trend. You think that's some pretty good basic rules, Mediocre?
Yeah, that's right.
If it's a company with history of profits that's undergoing a temporary problem, we might be interested in looking at that. But it gets really old, getting suggested tickers on chat, and everyone we open up is trading for 12 cents and has no revenue and is bleeding money. Those aren't the ideal tickers we like to trade.
No, because ultimately, you can get stuck in that, and then you have to work your way out of it. And I try not to get stuck in something I don't want to hold or own.
We might day trade those on momentum, right, Mediocre? But we're not gonna. There's no reason to cover them on this channel, because if it's moving up, hop in and hop out. You don't need any input from me on that. But if it's a company that, hey, Tony, I think this one has potential because they're profitable, but they got this problem. And what do you think? Could they turn it around, or is it going to just fade on out to zero? Those are interesting to us.
Yeah.
Edward, how you doing, amigo? Ethan, good evening. Show the updated debt spreadsheet. We can do that. All right. Let's look first at B. Riley, Mediocre. Let me put this up on the screen, and I'll make it a little bigger. Don't worry. So you guys can see it.
Office Mojo too.
What's that?
Get some numbers. After, I want you to put up Box Office Mojo, because I think we got a few numbers already for.
Yeah. All right. So here's what we got from Eric Wald over at B. Riley. AMC's revenue and EBITDA estimates raised, citing industry strength. Now, if you guys have been paying attention to the channel, I told you that we would be getting these. I'm going to guess right now, this will not be the last analyst upgrade that we get. There'll be probably 2 more next week for AMC. And he is saying that he's raising his estimate to 1.135 billion from 1.26 billion. Let me make this easier so I can flip between screens. Let's look at my spreadsheet. He said 1.315 billion, Mediocre. Guess which number we have right here?
1.316.5.
Now, how did I know that? Of course, I gave you guys a range, a low, a medium, and a high of what I'm expecting for this quarter. Well, Eric picked the low end of the range. And I want to show you one other thing, Mediocre, and I didn't even check this. A lot of times when I am going to do a video, I'll put, with my estimates for the quarter, I'll put in what the analysts are expecting. And I forgot to check it, but I did check it today. Look at here for the current quarter, Mediocre. Average estimate The low is 125, the average is 13, and the high is 145 for revenue.
Yeah.
Now, 13 and 145. Look at what we got right here, Mediocre. 145.
Yeah. That's a high number.
I think my spreadsheet's pretty solid. I mean, and I've got the numbers. I'm not just going to Yahoo and plugging these in. I can change anything on here. Let's say we get 32% of the market and my spreadsheet updates. I put this together by hand.
I know you did. That's why I said something about it in my video, because I appreciate the spreadsheet. I'm not gonna lie. I'll flat out tell you.
Now,
work you put into this stock, into getting the numbers. I mean, I'm grateful for it.
what Mr. Wald did not tell us is what he thinks the net income or the earnings per share is going to be. He says that he is lifting his, also besides the revenue number, he's lifting his estimate for adjusted earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, which is our adjusted EBITDA. And he's increasing it from 135 to 172. So I went in and looked. I said, okay, if he's going with this column and he's saying adjusted EBITDA, we could just back out taxes, depreciation, interest, and amortization from the number I have here, which is 11 million. It would basically, with his estimate, instead of 11 million on that 1.3 billion revenue, he's saying AMC is going to break even, zero. So I don't know, we'll see. I think that he's probably a little bit low on his number, but that's why I have a range, because I don't know up here in the orange what percentage of the overall market AMC got. And as you can see, that changes the result down here at the bottom dramatically. What percentage of the market did we capture?
I'm hoping we captured enough, Tony, for 8 cents. That's what I'm hoping for.
Why 8 cents?
Just because I think it's a number that you and I have talked about based off of this spreadsheet here. And that's
future price targets.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So that's that's the update on B. Riley. So as expected, they did upgrade revenue and earnings expectations for AMC. I look forward to more next week. They don't want to go into November calling for a negative number. That would be pretty foolish, I think. Diatog says, is Carnival Cruise Lines fair game to talk about later? Yes, but I think we talked about Carnival last week, didn't we, Mediocre? I don't remember if we
looked at it, yeah.
If we went deep into it or not. All right, what else do I have on the list here? Let's look at Q4 box office and the box office mojo, Mediocre, and then we'll talk about why we're not selling covered calls on AMC, and then we can talk about GameStop or whatever else. So Q4, I put in my numbers. I have the Joker, pretty low number. I know a lot of people were expecting this to be a huge movie. I'm not expecting it to be a huge movie. So when I did my run through of expectations for Q4, I have the full domestic run at 120. And I think this opening weekend, they're expecting around 50. Maybe over the next 4 weeks, we get another 30, 40, 50 on it. Might miss 120. That's okay. You can see a lot of these other wide releases. I have them only at $5 or $10 million. If any one of these small movies improves by 10 million bucks, you make up any loss on this real quick. And so my total estimate for Q4, just based on wide releases, is $2 billion. Then you add in all the limited releases and the leftover movies, Beetlejuice and whatever else from Q3 that are still showing. I still think that we have a good shot at between 2.4 and 2.6 billion this quarter. And if that changes during the quarter, then I'll let you guys know. We're pretty heavily loaded at the end of December, unfortunately, Mediocre. It's gonna the people that don't like the movie industry are gonna have a heyday, I think, in October, talking about how bad the box office is. October.
Yeah, they always talk about how bad it is anyways, Tony, but and they like
I
to
would
say
just say to them, hey, be careful what you say too early. You don't want to be one of those July guys saying that Q3 is going to suck when you haven't done the work to look at the movies, because we have done the work.
yeah, exactly. We do it every time, just like we're doing it on this, right? And we'll be watching closely every week, like we always do, and talking about it, and trying to figure out where we're gonna fall.
And if that number changes, if my estimates change, you guys know I will tell you, because if it affects how I'm looking at the play, first I'm going to be in the Discord telling them, and then next time I make a video or come on live, we'll talk about it. Someone wanted to look at the AMC debt table. Let's do that, but first let's look at Box Office Mojo and talk about the Joker. We watched the Joker last night. I loved it. My wife fell asleep. Mediocre.
Oh boy.
It's over a 2-hour movie. Do we have any Joker numbers? No, we won't get Joker numbers, I guess, till maybe Monday. But Wild Robot and Beetlejuice and Transformers 1 will still be contributing to this weekend. Was there something that you wanted to look at?
No, I just wanted to see what the numbers were before this weekend's over, because this is the first weekend for Joker. I just want to see, because Friday we close, or Thursday. Right?
I'm thinking we're going to post up about 80 million this weekend, Mediocre.
Yeah. I just wanted to take a look. That's all. I was curious.
All right. Let's look at the debt table. Let me open that up. Open. Who is asking for this? Is this what you guys wanted to see? Hey, Sparky, I see you in the chat there. Cheers, amigo. Sufyan, the CPA, says, Tony, adjusted EBITDA can be interpreted as non-recurring items. That is correct, sir. Yes. So we had the July restructuring. We had the new news at the end of September. I'm looking forward to getting the official new debt table. This is just my best guess. So this is what I'm using for my DD. And I always just try and share that with you guys. Again, we're not ever trying to lead you down a path. This is my channel talking about my trading and the research that I'm doing. And since I'm doing the work, I figure someone might want to see it. Let's just share it. And so that's what we're doing here. And if you find something here that is wrong or you don't agree with, always drop me a note. I don't like being wrong. If you find a mistake, help me out. Help a brother out.
That's right.
We got, these were the ones that were on the September 30th press release, the ones in pink here. The 1012 pick toggle, they paid some of that down. And these two lower interest subordinated unsecured debt got paid down a little bit. So still around 4.2 billion in long-term debt. And again, a couple of, I don't want to call them shills. I don't want to call them shorts. Just uneducated people talking about AMC's balance sheet, telling you that they're going to go bankrupt later this year because they have a lot of debt. They could go bankrupt in 5 years, but the debt just got pushed off till 2029 or 2030. And as long as the industry is still recovering and getting better between now and 2026, we got this little bit of debt up here, the 800 million on the term loan that they're having that lawsuit over. That I think will get worked out. And the better the box office does, if the company's booking positive quarters, that will get worked out. I have little concern over that. And if that changes, I will also let you know. I'm not trying to sell you anything, like not trying to sell you a bill of goods or a way of thinking. This is what I think. It's like relatively low risk. But if I think that the risk increases, that we need to worry about that, I will let you know. How do you feel, Sparky? How do you feel, Mediocre?
I mean, I feel good. I'm comfortable where I'm at. I'm sitting here holding on to my shares. I think next week could be something if we get these upgrades coming in from the analysts. See what happens with that. You know, I'm comfortable. I'm not stressing about it. Not worried that they pushed the price down this week and all that because the overall market was pushed down. I think there was a lot of factors that played out this week in the overall market that contributed to where we closed today, you know? So I just
Ape Rage, I see your question. I want to come back to it in a minute. Thank you for that. Ethan says, you guys don't think that they just told us how much they paid with what they paid in cash on the debt. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. They gave a little over 11 million shares in exchange for some of the debt. And what was it, like 100 and I have it at the top here, 103 million in cash, which was effectively about 448 per share. Wait, sorry. That makes the 11 million shares worth about 448 per share. So they use some of the cash. They use some shares. I think they're trying to be responsible about not pumping out dilution. That's my guess. And I think there was a choice they made. My best guess, and I could be totally wrong, Sparky or anybody else that is smarter than me, let me know. I think that either the operating cash flow or the free cash flow is going to be enough thrown off this quarter with the one that just finished that they said we can spend 100 million cash because we're going to replenish it from the profits of this quarter. And yeah. I think they have a certain amount they want to keep on the balance sheet. They were comfortable spending 100 million is my guess. And they bridged the gap with shares. So they were like, what is the best way we can issue the least amount of shares, but still knock out some more of this 10, 12 pick toggle? And so that is what I think they did.
No, I agree with you. I think that was the whole point, right? To keep the cash that they have and just use what they've taken in for this quarter to pay down the debt. I like it. I hope they keep doing that as long as we're profitable, right? Let's
as long as we're profitable. As long as we're profitable and cash is coming in, that cash should be used, even if it's 40 million, 100 million, 150 million. Knock out the dang debt, Adam. Quit diluting us. I understand they've needed to for 3 years because they were in a negative operating income. But if we really have, what's the word? Turn the page to the point where now we're going to have profitable quarters, dilution to raise cash should not be necessary. And dilution to pay off debt should be minimized. We still think there will be more debt for equity swaps. So,
Tony, I got a question for you since we're talking.
But it should be minimized. Go ahead, Mediocre.
My question is CapEx. I also kind of don't want to see them start raising up CapEx because we got money coming in either, you know. That concerns me a little bit. That's one of the things I'm thinking, you know, to do other things. I know we got to keep the places up to date and running and stuff like that, but I just don't want to do crazy upgrades for no reason we don't need to be doing.
Yeah. I agree. Don't go spending on CapEx like a drunken sailor, Adam. mission critical upgrades is okay. Sparky says, I don't think they brought in that much cash. Yeah, I have in my spreadsheet, I didn't show it, Sparky, but I have a net cash flow and operating cash flow estimates. I just recently added that into my spreadsheet, so I'm not confident enough to start forecasting it and sharing it, but I'm test driving it. And when I get better at thinking that my estimates are pretty close to legit, I'll start sharing that with you guys. But basically, my spreadsheet agrees with exactly what you're saying, Sparky. They probably are not going to make 100 million in cash, but they're going to make a big portion of that. So if we had 770 million on the balance sheet and they spent 103, I think the bulk of that will be replenished. Not all of it, but a considerable amount of it. That's my guess. We'll find out in a month. Is this live? Matt says. I sure hope so, Matt.
Yes, it is, Matt.
All right, let's go up to Ethan says, was the payment they made to the first lien holders that are suing the company? September 30th was not paid to the first lien holders. So the September 30th is this box up here, the 800 in yellow. And what they paid off on September 30th was down here in pink. And remember, we've been telling you that the 10-12 pick toggle is the one that they're probably primarily focused on paying off. Get rid of it. And you can see that. I mean, in July, it was 788 million, and now it's 146 million. And they did, take care of some of that by issuing this line right here, a new pick toggle, the convertible notes, but they're at a much lower rate, 6.8 versus 10.12.
Cut them down. Right. Cut them down on the interest rate, Tony.
Let's go up to Ape Rage Games question, and then we'll move on to talk about covered calls, the wheel strategy, why we're not selling covered calls on AMC right now. Because if you missed my little intro, somebody on Twitter is really mad at me for talking about ways to make money in the stock market. And I don't like things that we talk about here on the channel being twisted by people to fit their narrative when it's not at all what we are saying. So we'll get into that in just a second. Ape Rage Games says, Tony, all other things aside, why is the stock at 45 cents or 450 after the reverse split? Are they just holding it here? Shouldn't we be at least near $3 to $5 a share? So after reverse split, you mean, shouldn't we be at 30 to 50? Mediocre, do you want, I am perfectly happy to answer that, but I'm going to let you get a first stab so I can light up a cigar, and then, I'll throw in my 2 cents. So
all right, I'm going to be blunt, Tony. I'm sorry.
Let me throw up the Weeble chart while we're here too. Go ahead.
So I'm just going to say this. The stock isn't trading at 45 cents. It's trading around $4.50. Yeah, I understand some people are stuck and they feel like they're at 45 cents. That was their problem for not doing what they should have done, right? The information was out there. People should have educated themselves on what was going on. I'm not calling Ape Rage out in any way. Don't take it the wrong way, but at $3 to $5, which from what you're saying, 45 cents, $3 to $5. If I'm doing a comparison, like Tony said, that would be $30 to $50. At $30 to $50 right now, the stock would be widely overvalued, in my opinion. And that's what I'll tell you.
You don't even need opinion to talk about valuation, Mediocre. You can use math. And that's what I want to talk with Ape Rage about, just like being the same conversation I'm having with the GameStop people. Share price valuation is very easy to do. And I sincerely urge all of you guys to sign up online, go to a community college, take a finance 101 class where you can learn how to do valuations, or go buy a book. I can recommend some books to you. But valuation, and this is where the GameStop guys are going wrong too. They're focusing on 4.6 billion on the balance sheet, saying this thing should be trading at $50. Cash don't matter for a share price valuation. It doesn't matter once you get past book value, which is $11 on GameStop. So how do we value GameStop? How do we value a company like AMC? What is the proper method to value it? Because it doesn't mean that you need to think, it doesn't mean you need to believe that. You can believe whatever you want, but how is Wall Street, anybody who's trained as a CPA, a bond trader, a finance guy, a broker,
That's it, Tony.
a
Right?
trader, 90% of traders, everybody except the meme stock community, how are they doing valuation? Based on earnings.
Earnings per share.
Earnings. And what is AMC lacking? What is GameStop lacking? Earnings. So you could look at some other things. You could do a discounted cash flow. Tough to do without earnings and dividends. You could look at return on equity. Tough to do on a company like AMC. You could look at return on assets. I mean, AMC's balance sheet's so fucked up, there's no way to do a proper valuation other than the way we're doing it right now. If we think positive, step into the positive light for a second, Sparky. If we think positive and say that every quarter going forward is going to be positive earnings, then you could forecast a annual earnings per share. Let's pick a number. Let's say, what number should we use, Mediocre? 15 cents a share?
I was thinking 10.
All right,
10
let's do 10 cents a share times 4 quarters. That'd
40
be
cents.
40 cents annual forward earnings. Now, the only other thing you need to do is look at what is a PE ratio that is normal in the industry. 25. So we're going to take, is this showing up? My calculator's not showing up. 25 times 40 cents, $10. That would be a, people are still going to argue with that. Oh, well, Tony, you need to derate it for dilution risk and the messed up balance sheet. And okay, that's fine. Let's keep this simple. If you're just looking at any company, GameStop, AMC, JetBlue, not Bed Bath & Beyond, Best Buy. And this is the big mistake the GameStop people do. They jump right to the balance sheet and say, look at the book value. Nobody's doing that. You guys are silly. You're silly kids. You silly kids. You need to look at earnings and then look at what is a reasonable PE ratio in the industry and do your forward earnings calculation. That's about the most basic way that you could do it. So for Ape Rage, he's like, okay, he's probably saying, okay, Tony, you're telling me that in that scenario, it could have a $10 price target. Why isn't it trading at $10? Too early. Too early. AMC has not given any guidance that they expect forward earnings. They don't have any recent history of positive quarters. They have a risk of dilution. It's just too early. However, the more quarters that go by where everybody starts getting comfortable that AMC can make a profit on lower box office than in 2019, you're going to, I think, start seeing that narrative change if all of that happens. And so we're a little bit crazy, Mediocre, right? We're kind of bullish on this stock. We understand it's speculative, but we we think that the industry is going to get better. Our biggest concern is dilution. But if you imagine a world where AMC can start booking positive earnings and not having to dilute, maybe you start seeing the price move up. In my world, you know, maybe even by November move up a little bit. That's what I'm hoping. I can't guarantee you anything. Does that make sense? Anybody have a strong disagreement with that? And so yeah, Ape Rage, good follow up there. He says, why is it being stuck here? I think it absolutely is being pinned. We talk about market manipulation, and people, I hate even saying that word because your normal traders are, oh, here goes Tony talking about manipulation. It is, I mean, it's a form of manipulation, but they're going to pin it at what they think, the people with money, the shorts, they're going to push it down to what they think is a fair valuation. You need enough money to offset that. You need enough money coming in to beat them. They've got a lot more money than we do. You need overwhelming firepower. Or you need what?
Not manipulation. The reason it's not considered manipulation is because they're doing what they can do with their money, right?
And no one, and the second part of what I was going to say, Mediocre, no one's going to stop them, because even an institution that wanted to come in and buy AMC agrees with them. They're like, yeah, without earnings and a messed up balance sheet, it's hard to value this stock right now. But as that narrative and that story start changing, if the box office gets better and AMC starts posting positive quarters, then you could start getting some institutions coming in and buying it because they see the value then. And then the shorts get, oh, fuck, man. It's not a good short anymore. Institutions are coming in now. Right now, there's nobody defending this stock except us. And we just don't have the firepower to stop it. That's how I look at it. That's my simple brain view. And I mean, you could call that a form of manipulation by the shorts or the market makers. It doesn't even matter to me anymore who it is. I'm just trying to understand the mechanics of why it's happening, so that I can make the best trades possible for me. Understanding how they're looking at it. That goes for AMC. That goes for GameStop. That goes for any stock that I'm trading. Mediocre, go ahead.
No, I agree with you, Tony. I think that it's not considered manipulation because they're allowed to do. Listen, I seen the video where Ken Griffin come out and said they want to be able to control the price. That he did say that, okay? And the fact is, it's like if you had his money, right? We're trading money every day. Yeah, the stock is basically, the equity is basically money, okay? So they have more money to throw at it than we do, and that's why it gets pushed down. You're not going to stop that. I mean, it's legal what they're doing, okay? I mean, I
think the short interest is increasing recently, Mediocre.
Yes, it is.
Which even buttresses your point even more. Like they're holding it down.
No, I think it's stupid right now with what's going on. I don't agree with what they're doing, but they can do whatever they want with their money. I'm not stressed right now. I'm comfortable.
You know why I think they do it, Mediocre? I think they do it. They do it because, like, let's just say they took a week vacation and we retail ran it up to $6-7. They could just come back from vacation and say, oh, fuck, look at this. $7 based on what? Short that shit. And no one's going to stop them. There's no institution that's going to come in and provide a foundation to back up a $7 price.
Exactly. No,
It's,
I agree.
it's just us. We got bullets and they got tanks.
And then when you're holding your stock, right? You're sitting there, you're holding it at that price, and you're not buying anymore because you're up, you're holding whatever, and then they come in and start bringing the price down, and you go underwater. What are you going to do? Sell for a loss or sit there and hold? Your money is not in play no more. You're not able to move the market no more when you're holding the stock. You're a non-factor in the market after that point. I am right now, as a matter of fact. The only thing I could do is sell for a small loss or wait for the stock to rebound, which I believe will happen. Like I have a great dollar cost average, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying in general, I'm underwater a little bit right now too. So I either have to sell for a loss or wait it out or buy more with extra money.
Yeah, let's talk about our trades on this play for a second, Mediocre. So you guys can see, I sold everything into this run up in May. I had shares
Blame
that
Tony.
got
He's not underwater.
huh?
I
I'm
said
not
blame Tony.
underwater.
He's not underwater.
I'm not underwater. I had shares that I bought down here in the $2-3 range, and when I was selling covered calls on them, when I saw the activity going on here, that it looked like it could run, I had a choice. I could close out my calls and keep my shares and hold for whatever. We're going to talk about that in the very next segment here, talking about selling covered calls on AMC and what you can do if you get stuck. You don't have to sit there and lose your shares. I had choices, right? I could have just closed out my position and kept my shares and hoped it went to $1,000, but I didn't think it was going to $1,000. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna keep my covered calls, and if they get called away, that's fine. I'm going to hedge by buying calls, so that if it runs to $8 or $10, I can still enjoy all the profits in they run up. And I made over 1,000% on those call options. I did not miss any of this run up. I made more than people that were holding shares and sold at 1188. So then I waited. I waited for the price to come back down. I waited all the way till August 5th. I bought at 420, bought some more at 464, 465, 437, and 2 days ago I bought at 438. So let's just say that my cost basis is right around 440. So I'm walking the wire right now, and could go lower from here, but I feel pretty good unless the market crashes. I feel pretty good buying down here in these demand zones, knowing what I know about the box office and that the analysts are being overly negative. There could be an upside surprise. That's what I'm thinking. Not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. And this is a speculative play. I'm not, the bulk of my portfolio is blue chip or value play stocks. This is my play money. I'm not mortgaging my house. And if it were to drop to $2, you're not going to see me crying. I'm managing my risk, in other words. And I always encourage you guys to understand if you're in a solid play or a speculative play, and decide your risk. Mediocre, do you want to go over where you're at on the trade right now? Oh, and then we'll talk about why we're not selling covered calls right now.
I'll just let you guys know. I'm going to be vague. I'm not going to tell you how many shares I got because that's not fair. But I got a dollar cost average around 497. So, and I'm very comfortable right there. That much I could tell you. I'm still holding AMC.
He has way more than me. Let's just put it that way. All right. So talking about the wheel, let's kind of pivot into that discussion, because we have talked about, over the course of this year, when we thought that it was trading flat here, or going down, we were selling puts to accumulate shares we weren't betting against the company. Selling puts is a bullish strategy to accumulate shares. You earn money and you accumulate shares. Once we got the shares, then we would, if we didn't think the price was going to run up, we would sell covered calls. If you've watched my wheel strategy videos, I specifically mention in there, be very careful about selling covered calls around earnings, because why? If there's a surprise to the upside or downside, things could go against you really quick. So that's one of the things. People want to just come hear me say something on a live stream, but not go watch the real work of, what I'm trying to teach you in the wheel videos. Go watch those. I go over every single risk, including probably don't do it. If you don't know what you're doing, don't do options.
Understand what you're trading.
Yeah, we're not advocating things to people that don't understand it. Hang out with us and learn. Paper trade. Pick a stock that's not a speculative stock for your first wheel. This is a high risk play to do the wheel on because of the volatility. You're much better off. And I say this in my wheel videos too. Pick a blue chip where you're not going to get wrecked if things go sideways. Put the training wheels on something safe. You don't want to start doing the wheel on a fully souped up Kawasaki. Just go get that kindergartner bike and put the training wheels on it.
That's right.
We've been doing this for a long time. So we're often seeking plays that have high volatility because we know how to get out of the trade if it goes against us. And we're actively seeking every weekend what is going to be the high volatility play of next week. And the play changes every week. Right now, it is not AMC. I know I have no covered calls sold on AMC. Mediocre has no covered calls sold on AMC for probably a couple reasons. Number one, low IV. If you're only going to make 2 pennies, for me, that's not enough income to justify the risk of the thing running up.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I don't want to make $2 on 100 shares for a week and then have it run to $8. And I got to figure out, what am I going to do to hedge that to, not lose my shares because I was trying to make $2.
Yeah.
We are always looking for the high IV plays, and AMC's just not it. It hasn't been it for weeks. So we're doing the wheel on other tickers. And that's the whole point. Like, learn the tools, and then you can apply the tool where it makes sense from week to week.
That's right. And
I wish you guys wouldn't hear us and then assume just because we're talking about one stock one week, we're telling you to do it every week on AMC. That is not the case.
in fact, I tell people, to be totally honest, right? Like, let's say, just for the sake of this conversation, you're down $5,000. It doesn't mean you have to make your $5,000 back in AMC. You can make that up in JetBlue. You can make it up in NVIDIA. You can make it up wherever you feel more comfortable about. The problem is you have to be willing to let go of some of the mindset of, I'm not holding this stock anymore, right?
Yeah.
It depends on what people want to do. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. You got to make that decision for yourself.
I would say also, Mediocre, you probably don't want to run the wheel on a company where you're deeply underwater on your share price.
Yeah, exactly. Or understand what you're doing, right?
We have people that are underwater that are running the wheel to fix their position, and they've made huge, gains in fixing their position by running the wheel on AMC. But you better effing know what you're doing, because you could have your shares yanked out from under you if there's a run up. And if you're sitting on a cost basis of $50 and you lose them because you sold a $5.50 call, you better have known in advance that was potentially going to happen. And you said, I understand. and I'm okay with it because I'm trying to fix my cost basis. And just understand the risks. We would never advocate a strategy to you that you don't understand.
Right.
And you probably shouldn't do it on a stock you're emotional about either. Find one that you don't care about and go learn the wheel.
Exactly, because that's the thing is you see, for us, there's no emotion
I
in
have
any of
no
the.
emotion to this stock.
I don't care what happens if I agree to sell a $5 call and I lose my shares at $5. I already in my mind said I agreed to do that. It is what it is. I didn't lose money because I agreed to sell them at that price. That's what I wanted to happen. Okay, so that's the way that I look at it. I'm sure Tony looks at it the same, but I just don't. To me, it's not an issue. If I don't want to lose my shares, I won't sell close to the money. But that's a totally different subject, totally different topic. I don't, you know.
Yeah, we have a lot of discussions over the weekend, like what ticker are we looking at that has IV? And let's just say it was AMC, which it's not right now and hasn't been for a while. The second set of discussions we would have is, all right, at what strike price? And everybody makes up their own mind. We all talk it through, and I often pick different strike prices than these guys, and Gus and Rolf pick different strike prices. People might have a different risk tolerance. Sometimes I'm selling really close to the current price, and someone else is saying I need to be $4 above the strike price because I think it could run up. That's part of your own analysis that you have to do. We don't ever give instructions. We talk through things. So to help people, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? Yeah, if that's the risk you're worried about, do that. Sell that high strike.
Yeah.
Or don't sell anything. If you're thinking it's going to run to 20 or 50 or 100, don't sell anything.
I also use other metrics that basically give me a heads up of where I think it won't go, based on delta and other factors that are involved in it. But and I try, if I don't want to lose my shares, shoot for those areas. Sometimes it doesn't go in your favor and you lose your shares. It is what it is. As long as you understand what you're doing, that's all I'm saying, right? If I lose my shares, for me, so be it. I don't care. I don't get stressed about it. But I also am not underwater.
Stockland Trade says, can you do a covered call strategy using LIFO on new shares that I don't lose from a previous high average cost? Yes, but you need to, if you're going to get exercised, you need to call your broker on that day and tell them which lot to sell to cover your shares. If they're going to get called away, like if you had 1,000 shares and you sold one option at a 550 strike and it closes at 6, you need to be calling your broker at the end of the day saying sell my most recent lot. I don't want to lose my shares that I have a $50 cost basis on. That is another good point.
Yes, that we also discussed that too.
Yeah, if we have someone that's getting in a position where they're going to lose their shares, then we start having those discussions. But I think I might have talked about that on the wheel strategy videos. I have a playlist for the wheel, and I need to go back and see if I covered that topic or not. If I didn't, that'd be a good follow-up video.
The most important part of this whole conversation, though, Tony, is for them to kind of educate themselves on options, right? Because there's a misconception out there that options are so bad, they're evil, and that's not necessarily true if you understand them and you use them correctly, right?
Yep.
Whether you're buying or selling, you have to understand the Greeks and when to buy and when to sell.
You know what I think is the most evil, Mediocre?
What's that?
The people just going out there and buying calls as lottery tickets.
Yeah, that's
What we're doing is
thing.
the opposite. We're selling those calls.
Yeah.
Because almost always what happens, the value of that option goes to zero, And the person who bought the call, all of the people that are gambling that the stock is going to pump, they lose all their money. And guess who gets to keep it? The person who
option
sold
seller.
the call.
Theta's a bitch when you're buying calls. It eats your money. Time decay kills you when you buy options. When you sell options, time decay is your friend.
If you
It
want
works
to be
for you.
trading like smart money, find some ticker you follow closely that you understand well. And if you have a position on it, start learning about the wheel. And, you know, it's a great extra way to make extra income. I mean, there's literally people in the Discord, you know, I haven't talked to anyone recently, but I know like when the IV was high on AMC, people were making what, Mediocre, $1,000 plus a week from
Yeah.
selling options.
I mean, I love it. That's easy money for me. I love it. That's one of my favorite ways to make money. I mean,
And just so if you haven't thought through what we're saying, we own shares to be doing that. We're not betting against the company. We're a shareholder just like you.
right.
We're just a shareholder that doesn't think it's going to $100 on Friday.
Exactly.
That's all. It's a slight difference in thinking. We're bullish long term. We're not bullish on Friday.
That's why we look at the box office and all the numbers. I don't understand why they, it's crazy, Tony.
I know. We're not some evil traders betting against the company. We're right there with you guys. We're just doing a lot of analysis to say what is the likelihood where this price is going to end up on Friday, and then we place our bets.
Yeah, we like to trade weeklies because you're not holding too long. Your shares aren't as risk as long. You're only at risk for 5 days.
If it's a blue chip that doesn't have a lot of volatility, Mediocre, and the premiums are a little bit lower, I might sell 30-day calls.
Yeah.
Just to bring in more income. And I pick a price that's like 10 or 15% higher than the current price. It's probably not going to get there in 30 days. If it does, would I be upset to make a 15% profit in a month?
Nope.
On the stock if it got called away? No, I would not be upset.
That's
to
the
make
thing,
a
Tony.
15%
It drives
profit
me crazy, dude. It
in a
drives me
month.
nuts because, listen, stocks just don't go straight up, people. They don't. They have pullbacks. So if you get taken out of your position, the chances are you're going to get a re-entry around the same price.
Yeah, if
That's
I got
very
called away, I'm gonna get to keep the profit from my calls. I'm gonna make 15% in 30 days. We're talking like a blue chip. And then I could sell the next Monday, sell puts with a new strike price, make money again, and wait for it to come back down to my strike price.
exactly.
It's ridiculous how you can generate income just by learning to think about things a different way. And people will say, oh, he was a dummy. He lost his shares. Made 15% in 30 days on a blue chip stock. You think I'm upset?
I'll be the dummy with a green portfolio. I don't care.
And
Call
then
me
I
whatever
use
you
that
want.
cash as collateral to immediately sell puts to get a new entry back into the play. Anyways, I know this is a lot if you're not an options trader, but start reading. Go watch my videos. I didn't create the wheel. There's thousands of videos out there, but I tried to look at what was out there that was popular and then kind of say, how can I explain this to someone that is a absolute beginner, to at least get them interested in learning a little more. It takes a while to get all the vernacular, all the terminology for things to make sense. Take your time with it. Got the rest of your life.
I believe it's that the market language, the overall market language, whether it's options or financials or You know, anything that has to do with the finance in the market, the language is like a secret language that regular everyday people don't understand. You know, it takes time to learn it. It's like learning, French or Italian or whatever. You got to put in the work to understand the language, so you understand what is going on. I mean, I think that's a pretty accurate statement.
Todd looks like he has a good strategy there. I like it, Todd. Small Space says he wants an old King Edwards. Booyah. Sufyan says, is it too late to run the numbers? Maybe at the end of this video, we'll run the numbers, Sufyan. AK says, I would like to learn options. I definitely have to. I've lost a little too much this year already. Yeah, sorry to hear that. We're always here.
Sorry about that.
We're always here, guys. You can reach us in the comments of a video. You could reach us on Twitter. You could join the Discord where we hang out all day. I'm not trying to push the Discord on anybody, but I only do so many live streams a week. If you want daily access, that's where I'm at. Knifey, thank you. What else we got on the list here? We talked about B. Riley upgrading AMC. We talked about Q4 box office. We talked about why we're not selling covered calls on AMC, no IV, and upcoming earnings. I'm pretty bullish that the price is going to go up. It's not a guarantee, but I think that, I don't know. If you had to rank it, Mediocre, and Sparky, drop your comments in here. We're at 440 right now. If you had to rank the probability of going to, say, 550 or 6 by mid-November, what do you give the odds?
70%.
I'm going to say greater than 50%. And even if it doesn't go to 550 or 6, I think there's very low risk for me to the downside. Look at this range here that we're trading in. What's going to make it crash down? AMC would have to announce massive dilution, or you'd have to have an overall market crash. Yeah. Could it go down to $3 again? Absolutely. But why? What would make it do that? I don't have my list of reasons is very small, and it has nothing to do with AMC. Well, one has to do with AMC if they announce massive dilution, but I don't see that happening. Maybe I'll be wrong, Mediocre. Maybe the bears will be right. Stockland says the wheel sounds like retail 2.0 lamp and chair.
Oh, God.
Let's talk about, while I'm pulling up GameStop, you guys have any other AMC questions?
It was when they started talking about lamp and chair, Tony, I was like, It made no sense. Zero.
All right. I haven't shared this with anybody yet. You guys are going to get a sneak peek here, and I will be putting out a 5-minute video on this tomorrow. But much like I have a spreadsheet for AMC, I've been creating and refining and working on one for GameStop, not to be predictive, because look, one of the things we love about the movie industry, by the way, I added a couple new rooms in the Discord for other movie theater companies because we do follow it closely. It's a beautiful industry to invest in because you get daily updates on what revenue expectations are going to be thanks to Box Office Mojo. And if you can calculate a company's profit and loss statement, you can have a pretty good idea if they're going to be profitable or not, and when is a good buy in the cycle.
Which is why I love Unity.
Yeah, I own IMAX. I'm up about 30%. I own Marcus Theaters, MCS. I think I'm up about 38% on that. somewhere between 30 and 38%. I don't have spreadsheets on them, and MCS, Marcus Theaters, is a little tougher to analyze because they own theaters and hotels. But I'm going to start doing some coverage on that one. I mean, hey, we're already paying attention to the box office every day. Why not pick some profitable, sure thing companies to make money on while we're waiting on AMC to have its next run up? And if AMC craters, well, you know, I got some profitable plays too. But maybe I'll make IMAX already provides you a spreadsheet, by the way. They provide you a spreadsheet. How beautiful is that?
IMAX, I like that.
IMAX, yeah. In their quarterly, there's a spreadsheet already very similar to mine, Mediocre. It's got all their numbers in it. I need to maybe create one for Marcus, but I have one for GameStop that I'm going to put up on the screen. The problem with GameStop is, how do you frickin' forecast what their revenue is going to be?
I don't know.
I see the GameStop YouTubers trying to do it and failing over and over and over and over and over and over, being way too bullish and
Listen, one of them told me they're never wrong. What are you talking
decimated
about?
on their predictions.
One of them told me they were never wrong, Tony. Are you sure?
I'm never wrong. I'm never wrong unless I think I'm wrong, Mediocre. That's what they say. You know, very disingenuous behavior to be saying stuff like that. They've been wrong over and over and over, and they're going to continue to be wrong if they're trying to predict earnings. I've already heard them talk about earnings expectations for this year, and they are going to be wrong.
But he promised me, Tony. He promised me in a live stream.
What can save GameStop right now? If you're speculating on it, a Roaring Kitty tweet could help you out. And I hope he does tweet, and I hope I'm in the play when he does. And I hope it runs up to 30, 40, 50, 60 bucks. I hope all that happens. I love GameStop. I cover it because it's a volatility play. It's a day trader's dream. But I also can read the income statement and see all of the problems. I only like GameStop at this valuation for day trading. I would never tell you buy it at any price. It's a slam dunk. That's speculation.
I don't take anything like a slam dunk anymore, Tony. Nothing.
Roaring Kitty could save you. And hopefully if he comes back and the price runs up, you have a low enough cost basis to take advantage, sell on any run up. If you still love the company, it's going to come back down. The price will come back down in a day or two, and you can rebuy. And now you put money in your pocket. Why do I say it's going to come back down? Because I've got a spreadsheet and I know how to value the stock. It's going to come back down. The other thing that could save GameStop is Ryan Cohen and the board deciding to do something with their $4.6 billion. Right now, $4.6 billion on the balance sheet is meaningless to share price valuation beyond the book value. Book value, the assets minus the liabilities, is about $11 a share. If the company were trading under 11 bucks, I'd say this is a value play, just like Keith Gill did back in 2020. Do you remember that, Mediocre?
What exactly?
When Roaring Kitty called GameStop a deep fucking value?
Yes, that was
because the market cap was under
Right.
was under the book. Now it's trading twice the book. It's not a value play. I've got books on value investing. I am a value investor. These GameStop people, unfortunately, are not very intelligent at doing valuation analysis or understanding definitions. GameStop is not a value play because the market cap is over the book value. They are lying to you. Maybe it's intentional. Maybe they just need to go read some more books and be more honest. I don't know. I don't really care. I'm just going to try and teach you guys the best I can. I've been buying GameStop around 1950 lately, and then trading out of it when it goes up close to 22 for the past couple of weeks, because I know the valuation of it. And guess what? If Roaring Kitty starts tweeting and it starts running up, I've got money. I just buy it and ride the wave up. What did I miss? I only missed all of the red days that everybody's suffering through. That's all I missed.
Tony, I got a comment from Matt Metzger. Says
Yeah.
GME is heavily shorted all the time.
The short interest is under 9%. It's barely shorted. And my second bit of data would be look at the cost to borrow. It's not even, last time I looked, it's not even 0.5%. There's no shorts in GameStop.
I agree.
Show me the evidence to the contrary. There is none. You just have people on social media telling you stuff. And if you want to believe that, that's fine. I'm not going to try and convince you otherwise. I look at data, and there is no data for me in good faith to tell you it's heavily shorted. All I see is the opposite. And I use that same data unemotionally on every stock that I look at. So I'm not picking on GameStop.
Take the emotion out of trading, people, please, for the love of God. That's all I'm saying. Emotionless trading is how you win in the market.
On my spreadsheet here, Mediocre, I've calculated based on, since I can't forecast GameStop's earnings, I can look at what the analysts are forecasting. I can look at communications from the company that they're going to likely accelerate store closures. I can look at the trend in revenue in the past 2 quarters, and I can predict that most likely the next 2 quarters, Q3 and Q4, are going to be lower than Q3 and Q4 last year. I can also look at the cash on the balance sheet, and I can do basic finance 101 and factor in declining interest rates through the remainder of this year and come up with a number of what interest is GameStop going to earn in this fiscal year on $4.6 billion. And I will tell you that my math here, and I'll put it on a video this weekend so you can see the spreadsheet. They are going to earn on interest income around $155 million this fiscal year. I hear people telling you that this company is going to make 300 plus million this year. I don't know how that's possible.
Tony,
I mean, even in their best quarter last year, they made 55 million in net income, and it was mostly wiped out, but it was all wiped out by the losses in the previous quarter. So operationally, they're not going to make a profit this year. They're going to have net income from interest income. That is not revenue. People keep on saying, oh, they're going to have revenue of 150 million. Interest income is not revenue. It's interest income. Revenue comes from sale of goods or services. So what's 155 million interest income divided by 446 million shares? It's going to give you an EPS of about 31 cents. What is a fair valuation in the market for a company like GameStop on a PE ratio basis? About 25, right? Let's be generous. Let's call it 50. A PE ratio of 50 times 31 cents would give us a price target of $15. This is basic math that the GameStop people on YouTube should be doing with you guys. And I've given them a week to do it and they won't do it. So I'm going to do a video and put all of this on the screen for you guys. There is no way under current numbers that GameStop is worth $21, $22, $23, or $50. Even if I take their income from interest, it's worth $15.50 using a PE of 50, which is double any competitor.
But Tony, it's the meme basket, the ETFs, they're heavily shorted.
Doesn't matter. The people with the money are going to try and push it down. What GameStop has going in its favor is a heavy army of retail traders that mostly had the float locked. Ryan keeps on fucking that up with 3 dilutions in 4 months. He is rug pulling investors with this dilution. He is deteriorating your ability to defend the price while he is padding the bank account. Why is he doing that? Does he hate retail? No. He's trying to ensure the future of the company. And so besides a Roaring Kitty tweet saving you in GameStop, and I agree, if Roaring Kitty starts a tweet storm, the price is probably going to fly up. But the next thing you could do is have Ryan Cohen invest this billions of dollars into something that generates actual earnings. And then we can do the math to figure what would the return need to be, because we just showed that sitting there earning 4.5%, 5% on treasuries only gives you a valuation of $15.50. You're going to need a higher return than 5%. What could he invest that money in? When is he going to do it? What type of return is going to be needed to justify the current price or a higher price? Those are the things GameStop people should be talking about, I think. And since they won't, I will, especially since they like running my name through the mud. The more you talk about me, the more I'm going to cover GameStop with facts, math, and spreadsheets, because it is undeniable what I'm going to be putting up on the screen. Undeniable. And meanwhile, I still love it for a volatility trade. All this. I'm not saying 15.50 is my price target. This is the other lie they tell you. Tony has a $7, $10, $15 price target. I'm not saying that is a price target. That is how Wall Street is valuing the stock. And you better understand that if you're trading it like I am. I'm buying it often and selling it often. And I use my understanding of the proper valuation to get a good entry and know when to get out. That's all I'm doing. I don't hate GameStop. I like Ryan Cohen, think he's a smart guy. I think he's doing the right things. And understand the math. Trading gets a lot easier, a lot less risky. Knifey says you guys are a little bit out of date. What are we talking about? Are we talking about valuation, Knifey? Yeah, they might have Outlier. He says Outlier and Peruvian Bull did a fantastic video yesterday. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of them. Sometimes I'll try and catch up on the weekends. So I'll go check that one out. I do think that like Tetron Invest does a pretty good job of, I've said before, like Tetron Invest and Richard Newton do a pretty good job of, I think, providing a more fact-based view on this play. I haven't really looked at a lot of Peruvian Bull. I don't always agree with everything that they say, obviously, and that's fine. We can all have points of disagreement. I just look at who is trying to talk about this like a normal person and unemotional, and using some modicum of common sense, like actual ability to analyze the financials. If you start out talking about book value, you already lost me. You already admitted you don't know what you're talking about. If you start out talking about the balance sheet, you already lost, because the math of balance sheet valuation is $11. There is no valuation above that based on cash, other than the income generated from that cash, which is a valuation of $15.50. And the other thing that I guess I want to say on GameStop is I look at the short interest. It's very low. They don't have a lot of appetite to short it here at $20. So that's good. That's good for you. That's why I've been buying it at $19.50. But guess what happens if the price starts pushing up? They're going to come in. They're going to come in and short it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there's news with earnings attached to it that legitimately drives the price up, then they're gonna need to run their numbers again, the shorts. Right now, based on what we know, the only thing stopping them is the fear. They have some fear of Roaring Kitty or Ryan Cohen making an announcement. I think that's a legitimate fear. They should be scared. You don't want to go short on GameStop at 20, only to have Roaring Kitty start tweeting and you get fucked because retail pushes it up to 40 or 60. It's I think, a pretty dumb short at $20, which is why the short interest is so low. I'm seeing that they agree. Knifey, I will check them out. Thank you for that. Thank you for letting me know. Outlier and Peruvian Bull. I don't know who Outlier is. I've heard of Peruvian Bull, but he's not on my regular watch list. Mediocre, do you got any thoughts on GameStop? I'll put up my GameStop trading on here. We can
I don't
just
really
look at it.
I don't trade GameStop too much. It has, the last time I traded GameStop, it was around $19, and I know it's overvalued, so I'm waiting. I don't want to get stuck with it. I can always get out, that, but I'm not interested really. I got easier ways to make money than mess with GameStop, to be totally honest. So I don't usually trade it.
I haven't been making huge gains these past 2 rounds. I only made a couple dollars per share, which is still, for holding it. This one I held it for a day. This one I held it for 2 weeks. The lower it goes down into this green demand zone, the more interested I am in buying it.
Exactly.
And maybe I get lucky. That's just me trying to minimize my risk. I want to buy it because I don't hate GameStop. I just want to minimize my risk by getting the lowest price, so that if it pushes up to 28 and I got in at 19, that's a hell of a good trade. But
Yep.
I don't know. The market, retail's having a hard time pushing it up past 24 right now. So I don't mind holding GameStop for a long time if I got in at 19 or 18 or 17, and then just see what Ryan Cohen does. What I'm not ever going to do is tell you guys to buy it every day at any price. That just seems a little bit irresponsible, because you can just be patient for a few days or a few weeks and likely get a better entry. That's how I'm viewing it.
Yep.
Look at this. I bought at 29 here in June 3rd, sold on the 6th at $30, doubled my money in 3 days. I don't care what price I'm buying at. If the chart's moving, I'm going to jump in.
What else you got?
That's about all the topics I wanted to talk about. Frankfurt says, I wish AMC and GameStop would merge. I hear that a lot, Frankfurt. As a investor in both, I would not recommend that for GameStop because they don't need a company burdened by debt like AMC with
Right.
low earnings. They need a company with earnings that are exceeding market norms. That's what they need. So I understand the sentiment, but I think that would be an unlikely choice that Ryan Cohen would make to look at AMC. Mediocre, we do have a theory about Roaring Kitty, though, don't we? That Roaring Kitty might be investing in AMC.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about all of the videos that Roaring Kitty put out, how many Mediocre mentioned a city?
Only one.
Only one that I can recall. What was that city?
Kansas City.
What company is headquartered in Kansas City?
AMC's headquartered in Kansas City.
And if I recall, that video was something about the Kansas City shuffle. Like, you think I'm doing something over here when I'm really doing something over here. What if he was signaling that he's loading up on AMC right before they start the shift into positive earnings?
Yeah, maybe he's
That's a lot of tinfoil there, Mediocre, but it is kind of funny to think about.
we joke too much. It's funny though. I don't know.
Don't take us seriously. We're just trying to get a rise out of people. But what if? Just saying. I mean, Mediocre, if he starts tweeting about movies, AMC's could run from $4.40 to $8 or $12.
Bring it on, Keith. I ain't scared.
Come on, Mr. Gill.
Good earnings coming.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go.
Knifey wants to look at NVAX. Nova Facts.
I made good money on that stock right there, but I don't recommend it. It's a pharmaceutical, Tony. They created a COVID vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it up now, though? What did they just do? That's interesting.
I got another ticker we can look at that I said that about today. What did they just do?
They did something. There's got to be some sort of news on this stock.
So this news happened back in May, Mediocre. Let me go to the daily and see if it was tied to earnings. It bumped on an earnings date.
Really? That's interesting.
So they flipped from negative earnings to positive. Now, Mediocre, can you think of a company that has had a string of negative earnings that's on the verge of bumping to a positive?
No, of course I can. You want me to tell you?
I mean, I'm just thinking like you could see a chart like this on AMC once they start reporting positive earnings.
That's
$4 up to 23, just like that.
That's why I'm not selling covered calls, Tony.
Exactly.
Funny stuff.
So let's see what we got under the hood here.
The problem I don't like about it, I'll be honest, is it's a pharmaceutical company, Tony. That much I can tell you. Based out of New Jersey.
It says they have a forward forecast of negative earnings. So let me pull up the old stockanalysis.com and let's see what we got here.
Yeah, Knifey, it's a dilution stock. They dilute all the time. The only reason why I was trading that back in, oh God, Bill Gates was doing something with some drug for RSV or something. Is that a lung thing for babies or whatever? RSV, Tony? Is that what it's called?
I don't
I
know.
believe that's what it is. Don't quote me on it. Something to do with like a cold in your lungs or whatever, but they wanted to give it to pregnant mothers or something, I believe, but I can't even remember the year. It was before COVID, like 4 years before COVID, probably 2016, 2017 area. I was in NVAX at that time for that vaccine, and we got diluted. I was new to trading, obviously. It got diluted, and it was in, I believe it was in my Robinhood account, which I don't really use Robinhood. And so I just left it and forgot about it. So then they created a COVID vaccine and the stock skyrocketed. And so I said, I wonder whatever happened to my Novavax. So I went and found it, Tony, in my Robinhood account, and it was up. I made good money on that. I sold it
Nice.
at the peak of the COVID deal there.
This is some crazy cycles here, Mediocre. $13 up to as high as 290 several times. Crazy.
They like to dilute.
All right, let's see what we got here. I want you guys to notice as we do our analysis, we're not starting with book value, because anybody that is doing that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. You don't just go to the balance sheet and say, oh, the book value is $12, so they're trading close to book, so this is good. No. You need to look at the things like the GameStop people don't want you to look at. First of all, what is the revenue trend? Is it good or not? Okay, for Novavax, they had growing revenue, but they had a fall off in 2023. If we go to a quarterly view on that, it's kind of spotty, right? But it's not declining, wouldn't you say, Mediocre?
Yeah. I wonder if the vaccine is helping them with that. I don't really know.
Yeah, we're not going to look at news. I just want to look at the financials and see if we can figure out what's going on here. So revenue trend, it's not what we'd like to see is every quarter or every year higher than the one prior. We don't have that here. This is obviously a cyclical business, but what you don't have is a long declining trend also, like GameStop. Then I'll glance at operating income. Not beautiful here. A lot of losses. I'll glance at net income. Same thing. But the most recent quarter, they made money. They had high revenue and they pulled a profit. Now, the other thing that we would want to do if we don't want to become an expert in this company here in a 5-minute overview is look at what the analysts are forecasting. If there's any analyst following this stock, they've probably done the homework to give you a reasonable expectation of what the next 12, 24 months look like. So we'll do that in a second. But let's finish up normal ways that a normal person would analyze a financial statement. We'll look at the shares outstanding. And this is what you were talking about, Mediocre. A lot of dilution going on.
Mm-hmm.
They've doubled the float in 2 years. Not great. Free cash flow has been negative, although the most recent quarter with the good quarter they had was good. So we got a company with some issues that's having a momentary good time. It's going to be up to you guys. I'm not going to do this on a live stream to dig through their 10Qs, the management outlook, all of the news, the products, the pipeline. I don't have time to do all that. That takes me a day to do it right. And if I ever did that, I'd make a video and share it with you. We're just doing how you can analyze a company in 5 minutes. Next, we will look at the balance sheet, but we're not going to look at book value. Still doesn't matter. We'll look at what's their cash position overall look like. it is generally declining. Generally declining. Where are most of they have 1.2 billion in current assets, 1.1 billion in current liabilities. So on a working capital basis, we want to see current assets here higher than current liabilities. So that is good. They don't have a just high level overview, no working capital issue, but we also want to look and see where are these current assets residing. 680 million in cash, 369 in short-term investments, which is essentially cash. They got a small amount of accounts receivable, a small amount of inventory, prepaid expenses. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty good. A small amount of goodwill. And then they have about $500 million in PPE, property, plant, and equipment. Long-term debt would be another thing I'd look at. Not a lot. 168 million. And then I'd want to go understand any big items on here instead of just telling you, oh guys, this is gross. Look at this 533 long-term unearned revenue. This is trash. I don't know what this is. So that's why you need to dig into the 10Q. What is this? I can't tell you in a drive-by analysis like this. They do have negative shareholders' equity. Not a big deal. Just means they've been losing money. That, as you could see, the GameStop people like to tell you AMC has negative retained earnings. Look at this, negative 4.8 billion retained earnings. This is how I know these GameStop YouTube analysts don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That is irrelevant. Retained earnings, shareholders' equity are irrelevant in the share price moving up, and it will be irrelevant for AMC because once you get earnings, look what happens. $4 to $23. Why did that happen? Because of earnings, net income. That's all it's going to take for AMC. And then if you want to finish up your quick drive-by, you could look at some other things like the cash flow statement. We already kind of saw that they're losing money. You got negative operating cash flow except for the most recent quarter. They have a small amount of CapEx. They invested some in securities. We just saw that on the balance sheet. And they have been bringing in cash from issuing stock. So we already saw that, also the dilution. So we don't learn a whole lot here other than what we already saw. They have a history of problems, and they're in right now a moment of good news. Let's look at the analysts' forecast so we don't have to go do the hard work. Analysts have an average price target of $18, a high of 31, a low of 9. I'll go down here and look and see how recent are these price targets. We got $9 in August, $23 in August, 31 in October. That's a wide range. So I would then look up these analysts and see if I could find their report. Why is there such a wide discrepancy? Does that make sense, Mediocre?
Yeah.
You would want to understand that. Oh, well, Eric Joseph is a shill. That's why. Maybe
man.
he has a valid point. Maybe this guy is shilling for the company because he's trying to help them sell shares. You don't fucking know until you go read and see if they are saying anything sensible.
I'm not a fan of pharmaceuticals at all.
And then as we look at these analyst average revenue targets, that the next 2 years, they're predicting a decline. So I don't know. I mean, is it a good trade right now? Yes. Is it maybe topping out unless there's some news that we don't see? Looks like it. Based on what the analysts are saying. I don't know enough to tell you more than that without spending hours and hours getting educated. So yeah, I mean, beautiful chart. You got work to do to decide if it's a great long-term hold. Based on what I'm seeing, I would definitely be very cautious and want to make sure I understand everything. And all I can say is I can't tell you any more than what I just said.
Oh no, man. What else you got?
That's about it, mediocre. The other, I'm working on the GameStop video. I didn't really want to put out my DD in the middle of the week because I don't want people to think I'm trying to be bearish on the price. They're going to misconstrue. They're going to lie. When I put out a Finance 101 math equation explaining proper valuation, they're going to lie to you and tell you that is my price target. I'm going to say it again. I don't have a price target for GameStop. I'm trying to understand how the market's looking at it so I can get my best entry possible and make smart trades. I'll get that GameStop video out with my spreadsheet this weekend. I got a Highcroft video that I'm working on. I don't own Highcroft. I'm not recommending Highcroft. I'm trying to help people see through all the social media pumping and hate. There's both pumping and hate on Highcroft because people aren't taking the time to understand it. It's a very long-term play. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Anyone who's telling you
Tony?
they know what's going to happen is guessing.
Listen, what's there to understand, Tony? Didn't you hear what Adam Aaron said? We own a fucking gold mine.
There's gold in them there hills, mediocre. Yeah,
Sarcasm.
I mean, Highcroft could be a good play, or it could be an uneconomical play. I can't tell you. No one can tell you why, because they haven't published their feasibility study, which will provide you the economics of the mine based on all the new drilling they're doing, the new processing plant that they're going to invest in and build. You don't know when they get to that point 3 years from now what the price of gold and silver are going to be. There are so many damn unknowns. Anyone telling you that they know what's going to happen with Highcroft, I would just laugh at them. I
just want to be clear, though. I own 0 Highcroft.
I own 0 too, because too many unknowns, too risky for me. What I do know is that management's saying they want to clean up the balance sheet, mediocre. They want to tap that equity market. That is something that is communicated by management. They're going to dilute you because they need to de-risk the balance sheet. That's another reason I'm not investing in Highcroft. And guys, I've been talking about this for 3 years. And again, you got people saying I'm pumping Highcroft. Like, have you ever listened to one video I've made? No. You see a thumbnail and you make up your own narrative.
But I would also say, Tony, AMC shareholders, they've come to the realization I think that they kind of get what dilution is now. At least I hope, right? The apes understand now after what happened with AMC. So I hope people are looking for that now, you know what I mean, to protect themselves. I don't know.
I just think like at some point there's going to be a magic timing, and I hope to pick it perfectly, mediocre, where Highcroft, and the reason I'm doing a video on them is they had a talk, a fireside chat for 1 hour on Thursday. And I'm going to boil that down to a 10-minute or less video just for the things that matter. You don't care about when they're going to sell more silver doubloons. You don't care about when they're going to sell rocket pins or sweaters. You want to know, are they going to dilute some more? Is there going to be another reverse split? How much is the new plant going to cost? When are they going to be done drilling? When is the feasibility study going to be published? When are they going to be mining? Those are all you should care about. I'll distill that video down to 10 minutes and you can hear them say it with their own words, what I've been telling you for 3 years. And maybe one person will listen and say, oh shit. Okay, well, at least I know now. I have the information. I can make my own choice. I don't care what you do with Highcroft. If I ever invest in it, I want to be in Mediocre in that magic point where they've diluted everything they need to. They fixed the balance sheet and they're just about to publish the feasibility study and it's going to be bullish. If all of that were lined up and I got that magic buy point, I think you could come out quite well on Highcroft.
Absolutely.
Way too early for me to be lucky enough to pick that date. So
yeah,
I'm employing my money elsewhere where I have more certainty what is going on.
Six Son wants to know, Tony, did AMC break the support today?
Nope. I'll throw that chart up one more time before we end. And Diatog says he wants us to cover Carnival. I don't think we went over their balance sheet and income statement last time. Maybe we can do that before we wrap up Mediocre. What time is it?
Yeah, I don't remember what we talked about with Carnival, to be honest.
Let's do a 5-minute look at Carnival for Diatog. Since we're all here, just to show you guys one more example of how to do an actual analysis of a stock where you don't start with book value, because that is nonsense. Unless you happen to notice that the market cap is under book value, in which case it might be interesting, but you still got to do all the same work to understand the play. I have Six Sun, the support, the demand zones around 430 to 440. We're at 440. You can see I've been buying here. I bought some at 438 on the 2nd. I'd prefer to be buying at 420 or lower, but I don't know what's going to make it go down to $4 unless AMC says, "Oh, we're gonna sell 100 million shares."
Oh, that would an ATM would do it, Tony. But outside of that,
Yeah,
I don't.
I think that is a low risk. It's a risk I'm willing to take. I don't have any special knowledge, so you got to make up your own minds.
Yeah,
They could do anything, but I think it's low risk. And I'm also, as I have said many, many times, on speculative plays like this, I size my risk according to what I'm willing to lose so that I don't have to go on social media and cry every day like the Popcorn Project people and the YouTubers that are mad at Adam Aaron. Size your damn risk properly. Read the financial statements. Listen to what management is telling you they're going to do. They've been saying for 3 years they needed to repair the balance sheet. If you weren't listening, what am I supposed to do? All right. Carnival. What's their ticker?
can't remember.
CCL. Let's look at the ticker history on Carnival real quick. All I remember, I looked at Carnival and Royal Caribbean back in the COVID era, and I saw them all having to take on a lot of debt because nobody was doing cruises. And I made a bet on Royal Caribbean on leaps, and I had picked my strike price perfectly. Mediocre.
We did
It went over my strike price right after my leap expired. But
yeah.
I lost all my money.
A move up because we went over their earnings, Tony, and it was good. I remember now.
All right, Carnival has gone from $6 in September a year ago to 18. I'm looking over here, PE ratio forecast and trailing, both are positive, so they must be making money. Let's verify that over here on stock analysis. Let's do it backwards this time. Let's see what the analysts are forecasting. Average forecast of $22, high of 27, low of 16. How recent are these? We have October 1st, Jamie Rollo, Morgan Stanley, got a $17 target. Then we have 3 different people on the same day, essentially, with a $26 price target. So I'd want to go read Mr. Rollo. Why is he so bearish? And if we look at annual forecast, they are predicting growing revenue and growing earnings per share. Again, nobody here is making a price forecast on book value. You GameStop YouTuber dummies. All price targets come off of earnings per share, revenue growth. This is Finance 101. Start doing it on GameStop, please. I really don't want to have to do all the GameStop work. You guys should be doing it yourself. All right. Income statement. I have a guess that Carnival is going to fall apart on the balance sheet, but let's look at the income. Nice recovery, Mediocre. You see that?
Mm-hmm. It's a nice climb up.
Now, hold on a second, Mediocre. Is this another one that had a recovery from losses to positive net income and the price tripled?
Yes. Yes.
Can you think of another company that's on the verge of having that happen?
I only know about movies, Tony.
Again, I'm going to guess, Mediocre, that they probably have negative retained earnings and negative shareholder equity. Yet somehow the price went from $6 to what did it go to? Somehow
18.
the price went from 6 to 18.
Yeah.
Let's just see. Am I right? Do they have negative retained earnings and negative shareholder equity? Hang on. Come on. Wow, they have positive shareholder equity and positive retained earnings. I am surprised. So they fixed that a year ago. As you start booking positive quarters, your retained earnings slowly improves. You can see they were almost a negative $1 billion on retained earnings, and it's currently approaching $2 billion. So I was incorrect. They are not negative on either one. But we'll come back to that in a second. It is really irrelevant to what is going to happen with the price. I just thought it would be funny if they were negative. What matters? Growing revenue and growing net income. So how's their net income looking? Massive spike up in the most recent quarter. What caused that?
Probably earnings, Tony.
SG&A is flat. Other is flat. Operating expenses is flat. It looks like it was just basically revenue growth. I don't see any chicanery going on there, any gamesmanship. Nice gross margins, 58%, profit margin, 21%. Mediocre, do you know what the profit margin of GameStop is?
No. I don't follow it.
Carnival balance sheet, current assets. Let's look at working capital. So we're going to compare current assets to current liabilities. We got $3.6 billion versus 12 billion. That is a problem. You got 3x current liabilities versus current assets. So when we go down here and look at working capital, you see negative 8 billion. That's a red flag. So then you'd need to dig into why is that happening and what is management communicating, if anything, to fix that. They got a long history here of negative working capital. I wonder how they're surviving Mediocre. Let's see what else we got.
Don't know.
Cash is getting drawn down. Not surprising if you're working capital. If you had a lot of losses and you're not generating enough cash to cover your bills. They went from 5.4 billion in cash Mediocre a year and a half ago down to 1.5. This is a problem. Total current assets declining because of the cash. Property, plant, and equipment, I would assume that's their ships. Small amount of goodwill relative to the total assets. Total assets, 49 billion. Total liabilities, 41 billion. So the balance sheet's not upside down, but in terms of current obligations, they got a problem. Cash flow. Looks like they've been paying back some of their debt. They've not been diluting. I guess, if the stock price is moving up and seeing what I'm seeing on the balance sheet, it's probably bullish because the overall sentiment, I'm just guessing. You guys tell me, because you're following Carnival. I'm not. I'm going to guess the sentiment for the industry and Carnival is that they're going to continue to grow and do well.
Yeah.
Generate cash.
Yeah. So what they're down they're probably gonna start taking in more cash than what they're spending.
That'd be my guess. So it's not horrible, but there's some things that you need to pay attention to. Analysts have it as a buy. If the company was forecast to lose money, you would not see that. So not a horrible play, just one little thing on the balance sheet to make sure you got understood well. All right, Mediocre. I think we're going to wrap it up. Yes, I will go. I heard you. I will go look at Peruvian bull. I'll make sure I do that before I put my video out. I don't want to miss something if I'm just totally off base. What I do know is that CandyCon controllers and trading cards are not going to save GameStop. Neither is interest generated off of the cash on the balance sheet. It's got to be saved by a shift in gaming. Like you tell me there's a major console drop that's going to skyrocket total revenue in the next 2 quarters.
Or a contract with Sony or Xbox or something
Or
of the sort.
you tell me that Ryan Cohen has a plan to invest that money in the next 2 quarters. I would agree with you. You could have a very reasonable expectation to be bullish, but all I see is people speculating. I've done the DD on trading cards. I've talked to e-commerce sellers. I've talked to brick and mortar sellers. I can look at the numbers. I can look at the margins. I can look at the volume being sold. This is not going to save GameStop. It's good to have other revenue streams, but Ryan's got to do something with that money. He knows that. And the faster he can continue to cut costs, close stores, pivot to e-commerce, the better. And then figure out a way to invest that money. You got a good play. But right now you're paying 2x what it's worth. So he's going to need to come up with something even better. He's got to come up with something 2x better than everybody else, basically. And I will watch it, Knifey. I love watching other people, especially if they're smart and they might have some insight that I could, actually find valuable. All right. Mediocre, you got any closing thoughts?
Just keep following along and like, share, and subscribe. And, put some time into yourself and your investments. Educate yourself on options and stuff like that. Do what you got to do. And we'll see you in the next video.
I'm going to say my closing thoughts. And Knifey, I have no idea what Peruvian Bull is going to talk about in his video, but I can tell you from being a member of the retail trading community for the last 3 years, buying and holding many of these stocks right along with you guys, there are people doing options flow analysis, FTD, bad DD, short interest predictions, algorithm predictions that have 98% of the time been wrong. So if that's what I got to go listen to on Peruvian Bull, he's got a 2% chance of being right. There are times when everything lines up and you get a options chain loading up and Roaring Kitty tweeting. That was a beautiful time back in May. And I made a lot of money that week. And I hope it happens again. But if people are talking about algos and points of interest and FTDs and swaps, it's just like, how has all of that helped us in the last 3 years? Every single ticker has just been decimated. So I'm just, for me, going back to the basics, the way I treat every other stock. Understand the financials. All of that stuff might be happening, but they are winning. So I want to understand how they're valuing it. And when I see an opportunity to slip in and buy it cheap, I'm going to slip in. Doesn't mean I hate the play. I just want to get the most risk-free entry.
Good entry.
That's all. I like all the damn plays you guys like. I want a cheaper price than you, and I will sell when it runs up. That's me in a nutshell. I tried the buy and hold thing. I changed that on GameStop 2 years ago. I changed it on AMC in August of 2023. Actually, maybe when did we moved everything into cheap Ape Mediocre? Maybe a month before August, whenever AMC and Ape got far apart.
Yeah, it was when the defendant's brief and the plaintiff's brief was dropped. It was like a week or two after that. Whenever.
And the other thing that I've learned in all of these plays, and this is just like stating the obvious, if your management has communicated that they're going to dilute, or you've seen by evidence that they're willing to dilute, and I'm talking about AMC and GameStop,
take them serious.
One has communicated, one has shown you by evidence of action. You should fucking pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
At least factor that into your trading strategy. That's all I'm going to say. And I promise you, Knifey, I will watch it. In fact, I need to eat some dinner. I made some chicken marsala yesterday, homemade. I made some chicken piccata today. So it's late here. It's 10:30. I am starving. I'm going to go heat some of that up. I had some for lunch. Now it's been soaking in the piccata juice in the fridge for 12 hours. I bet it's even better now, Mediocre.
I'm sure it is.
And Mediocre was talking to me about lasagna. So maybe, Maybe Scarlett will cook. Maybe she's just going to do her usual and pick up Chuck E. Cheese on the way home, Mediocre.
Make sure you get your fucking order in, Tony. Oh my gosh.
But maybe, maybe we'll make some lasagna together this weekend because she does like to cook, and so do I. So, and even more important to her is doing, spending that time together. Guys, treat your wives right, and you don't have to move out of the house. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we got for you tonight. We will see you on the next one.
Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. I send the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change, slowly take a step.